Many students doing a dissertation, especially at postgrad, master's or doctoral level, will be asked to write some sort of reflective piece at some point during their research. Yes, that dreaded reflective essay or reflective report or reflective poster. Ugh. Why does this give us the ick? Because it's not an easy thing to do. Reflecting, putting a lot of you into a piece of writing is hard because for so many years you've been taught not to, right? You've been told to stay objective and neutral and detached, and if you want to make a contribution to the debate, that needs to be backed up with reference to a peer-reviewed piece of academic literature because we want to see your evidence, okay? So when you're asked to do a reflective piece, you're like,
right, so how the F am I supposed to be reflective, having been conditioned by the higher education system to be the complete opposite?
I know, frustrating, isn't it? And that is why I made this video about the key things you need to know about reflective writing. So if you do have to produce a reflective piece about your thesis, you will know exactly what to do. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I've been supporting social science students through their dissertations for over 20 years now. In the last 10 or so years, I've seen a lot of universities introduce reflective elements to their degree programs, where students are asked to contemplate their journey and write about it. That might be as a researcher, or another scenario like being a member of a team in a group project. In this video, I'll be talking about being reflective as it relates to your research dissertation. Now, unfortunately, these reflective elements tend to just get dropped into the middle of an existing degree or doctoral training program. They're often the only assignment where students are being asked to be reflective, so they can feel a bit weird. Students contact me all the time about reflective assignments, from undergrads to PhD students, and they're like,
I literally don't know where to start. This feels so alien to me.
That's why I decided to make this video, to give you some pointers. So here's what we'll be covering. What is reflective writing? How can you be prepared for writing reflectively? What should you actually write in the different sections? Now, in relation to that third point, what should you actually write? I have a reflective writing cheat sheet PDF full of phrases and sentence starters. Some of the things I'll be sharing with you in that part of the video are from this cheat sheet. But this cheat sheet has a whole load more, so it's worth getting hold of a copy. It is completely free when you sign up to my email subscriber list. The link is in the description, and I'll say a bit more about that when we get there. But first things first, what is reflective writing? It's a way of demonstrating what you know and how this relates to experiences you've had during your research process. It's actually a useful way of thinking about your own learning and how you change and evolve as a researcher as you experience different things during your dissertation journey. Here are the three main characteristics of reflective writing. Firstly, it's personal. You write about your research as something that you have first-hand lived experience of. You write in the first person, I, which can feel a bit uncomfortable at first. Because academic writing often aims to be detached and objective. A reflective piece of writing does not. It will be more subjective because you've been immersed in the situation that you're writing about. You might write about your emotions, thoughts and feelings in a way that you would not do in standard academic writing. Secondly, it's temporal and transformative. It's temporal in that it relates to time, in terms of how you've developed and changed over a period of time whilst you've been doing your dissertation. It's transformative because it's about how you've learned something new and what you might do with that in the future. And it's not just about your personal transformations, but those of other people. For instance, your participants, your gatekeepers, your supervisory team. You can think about things from other people's perspectives and reflect upon their actions as well as your own. Thirdly, it's evidence-based. You still need to use evidence to support what you're writing, but the type and combination of evidence will look quite different from what you use normally. In standard academic writing, you draw upon academic sources to demonstrate your understanding of a topic. Academic literature can still be present in a reflective piece, but it's used differently as an aid to help you make sense of your own lived experiences of research. There will be other types of evidence in a reflective piece which you use to support your arguments. For example, entries from a research journal or diary, observations, artifacts or documents relating to your research, that kind of stuff. Next up, we're looking at how you can be prepared for writing reflectively. But before we do that, if you're finding this video helpful and you're like,
Finally, someone's actually explaining this to me. Yay!
Then give this video a cheeky like. It really does make a huge difference in ensuring other people can find it too. Anyway, back to being prepared. What can you do to be prepared to write reflectively about your research? Before you put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, you need to collate as much information as possible about your experience of research. And here are some of the things you need to grab hold of. If you kept a fieldwork diary or journal, or just a general journal in which you wrote about your research, that is going to come in handy. And just a quick side note here, journaling is something that is really bloody helpful to do in general, not just for your research. I do it. I have a little routine where I try and sit down a couple of mornings a week and journal. I go into this lovely little office that I am lucky enough to have at home. I get a citrusy wax melt on the go and I set a timer for 30 minutes. Then I just brain vomit all over the page and I get everything out, everything that's on my mind, everything I'm worried about, frustrated by, stuck on, excited about, whatever, whether that's related to my work or not. Journaling is so helpful. I am a much calmer person now from doing this on a regular basis. And I would recommend journaling to everyone, especially if you're doing a dissertation, because this process is an intense one. And you carry around a lot of stuff in your head when you're doing a dissertation. It can be helpful to just get all of that out. So try it. Right then, after that distracting little stream of consciousness, back to the stuff that you need to gather up before you start writing reflectively. Go and find any documents, virtual or hard copy, that relate to your experience. Your ethical approval form, your research proposal, your emails with your supervisory team, or any people involved in your research. Any literature, leaflets, or other information that you pick up when you're out and about doing your research. Gather all of this together. Also, check your smartphone for information that might help. Can you use your calendar to reconstruct what you did on particular days? Did you take any photos during your experience that you've got saved on your phone? Did you text any of your friends about what you were seeing, feeling, or experiencing? Talk to the people who you regularly share your experiences of your research with. That might be your partner, your best friend, a fellow student, or your supervisor. Ask them what they remember about you during particular stages of your research so far. Were there times when you were a complete nightmare to be around? Were there other times when you were incredibly upbeat and positive about your research? Take some notes of these chats because they will be super helpful. Another helpful thing to do is to set a timer for 30 minutes. I do love my timers. And write down your memories and recollections of your research so far. Try and recall what happened and how you felt about it. Next, we're going to look at what you're actually going to write. But before we do that, I just want to say, if you're finding this video helpful, it's probably worth subscribing to my channel. Come and join the Degree Doctor party because you'll find my previous videos and my upcoming ones super helpful for your dissertation. Next up, what should you actually write? In this section, I'm going to show you some actual sentences that you can use, some prompts to get you thinking. Don't worry about taking a screenshot or writing them down because they and others are included in this handy reflective writing cheat sheet PDF. I mentioned this at the start of the video, and this cheat sheet is free to download when you subscribe to my email list. So not only will you receive this handy little thing, you'll get a dose of study inspiration right into your inbox every Wednesday. You're welcome, and the link is in the description. Anyway, back to those sentence starters and prompts. What might you actually write in each of the different parts of a reflective piece? Well, when you're describing something that happened in your research, you need to, firstly, write in the past tense because you're describing events that have happened in the past. Secondly, use clear and precise language. For example, in my second supervisory session on Thursday the 4th of May, with my Director of Studies and my second supervisor, the week before I started my literature review, that is way better than this one. In a supervision session before I started my literature review, thirdly, use temporal indicators to help the reader understand the sequence of events, such as. Fourthly, be as objective as possible in this particular part of your reflective piece. For example, you might want to write, my interviewee stood up whilst I remained seated. He was speaking loudly and gesticulating with his arms. That sounds much better than, my interviewee was trying to intimidate me. Do you see how we've taken the subjectivity out there and we've simply described what happened? In the next part of your reflective piece, when you're describing what you thought and felt about what happened, you need to go one step further. You've already described what happened. Now you need to describe your thoughts and feelings about it. Use verbs that relate to thinking and feeling. For example, and be aware of tense. When you write reflectively, you are sometimes writing about how you felt at the time, and at other times you're writing about how you feel now that you're thinking back to it. So be careful to distinguish between the two. Use the present tense for feelings that you have now and the past tense for feelings that you had at the time. Take the time to process your feelings. Try not to rant. If you feel angry or triggered by recounting an experience, take the time to process those feelings before putting it into your written work. Maybe do some journaling. When you describe your thoughts and your feelings about what happened, you zoom in. What you need to do next is zoom out and try and make sense of it all, and that involves 3 stages. Firstly, you need to analyse. This is about identifying different views, positions, or perspectives on what happened. What assumptions are those different views, positions, or perspectives based on? What preconceived ideas did you have? Secondly, you need to interpret, and that involves examining the implications of your experience. How did you make sense of your experience? How did this affect you? Who was in agreement or disagreement with you? Who else did your experience have an impact on? Thirdly, you need to evaluate. Evaluation involves thinking through the value of this experience. How useful or helpful was it for you? What did it make you realise or consider that you hadn't before? Has it changed or altered something about you? In these sections, use comparative or contrasting language. For example, also use causal language to show connections and links. For example, now we're onto your concluding sections. When you're drawing your reflective writing to a close, when you're concluding and considering what you'll do in the future, you need to sum up the most important learning and development points. You also need to indicate what you're going to do now, how you're going to implement what you've learned from this process of reflection. Identify 3 things that you can implement within a specific time period, for example, within the next month or within the next 3 months. Write another sentence that describes where you hope you'll be 1 year from now in terms of how the things that you've learnt are going to continue to have an impact on you. And then end your piece of reflective writing with a power statement. Make the last couple of sentences really stand out. You could pose a question which tackles something you raised in your reflections. You could identify something that needs to change at a social or cultural level based on the insights that you've gained through your experience. Be creative, have some fun with it. That brings us to the end of this video, in which we've covered what reflective writing is, how to be prepared for writing reflectively, and what you should actually write in the different sections. If you want to watch any of those parts of the video again, scroll to the relevant chapter on the time bar below or click in the chapter link in the description. If you've got any questions or queries or general thoughts on reflective writing, drop them in the comments or send me a message. And please do make use of that reflective writing cheat sheet. Everyone who's used the cheat sheet so far has said how helpful it's been, how it's made the process of reflective writing a lot less painful. And the people who've actually had their reflective writing marked and they've got a grade for it, well, they've done rather well, so it's worth getting hold of it. As I said earlier, the link for that is in the description, along with a whole load of other things that you'll find helpful, so go and take a look at that. And I will be back soon with more tips on all things dissertation.